What's going on YouTube? It's Adam from Beyond the Grid. Grab your phone because it's time for another Lightroom tutorial.
But if you close your eyes.
So I've had a ton of you guys send me DMs through Instagram asking me how to achieve that bright yet crispy look using the Mobile Lightroom app. So rather than me sending you guys this long drawn out message that you guys are probably going to get more confused reading than you guys will get answers, I thought I'd just do a tutorial and hopefully you guys can learn something that'll have you guys editing your photos in this style. Now, if you guys are someone who's looking to create this look and keep it consistent across all of your photos, I do have a Lightroom collection available and it includes 9 presets in both desktop and mobile depending on which one you pick up, and I'll link that down in the description below. Now let's jump to this tutorial and let's teach you guys how to edit this photo. So I'm going to try to keep this tutorial a little bit shorter and I'm going to try to run through things a little bit quicker because I find some of my videos are a little bit long. So we're going to start this off in the color tab. What we're going to do is we're going to drop this down just a little bit and make it a little bit blue, which is going to be about minus, let's say -2. Our tint, we're going to raise this up just a tiny bit, let's say +2. Our vibrancy, we're going to raise this up to, let's say, +18. And our saturation, we're going to bring this up just a tiny bit, let's say +4. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our light tab. We're going to bring up the exposure just a tiny bit, let's say 0.10. Our contrast, we're going to bring this up to about +15. Our highlights, we're going to drop this right off and make it at -100. Our shadows, we're going to raise this to about +51 looks pretty good. Our whites, what we're going to do is drop this down, and if you guys learned a trick from one of my previous videos, just hold down on your screen and you guys can see what's edited, and as I raise it you guys can see that. But what we want to do is we want to drop it almost right down, let's say -70 looks pretty good. And then our blacks, we're going to drop this down to about -12. So already you guys can see a huge difference from something like this to something like this, but we're not quite done yet. So let's go over to our color tab. We're going to click on the mix, and then we're going to start editing in here, but we're not going to edit too much. What we're going to do is we're going to adjust our reds first. We're going to drop our reds, our saturation down to about -17, and our luminancy on our reds, we're going to drop down to about -16 looks pretty good there. And then our orange, we're going to leave most of it. We're just going to drop down our luminancy just a tiny bit. Let's say -19 looks pretty good. Our yellows, we're going to leave this mostly, but we're going to jump up our saturation to 100. And then our luminancy, say -52. Our greens, we're not going to touch. Our aquas, we won't touch. Our blues, what we're going to do is we're going to drop our saturation right off, as well as our luminancy. And what that's going to do is it's going to get rid of any blue tints that are in the actual background, as you guys have seen before I did that. So let's bring this back up. It's just a little bit of blue in the background, but it does change her jacket. So make sure you guys are aware of that. And then our purples and our magentas, we're going to leave those as is. So let's come back to our light tab. We're going to go over to the curve tab and just go to the main one, which is going to be all 3 of your RBGs. And then we're going to start to adjust this. And this one's going to be a little bit smaller of an adjustment, but we're going to raise the middle right up, and then we're going to drop our down right here, and that looks pretty good. So we're going to create almost like a little S curve. Let's drop this guy down just a little bit more. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there. And then we're going to come over to effects. We're going to raise our clarity up just a little bit, let's say +5. And then our split tone, what we're going to do here is we're just going to add just a tiny bit into each one of the highlights or shadows. So our highlights, we're going to come over to hue, say 55, 56, and we're going to drop our saturation and just leave it really low, almost like a 2. So let's bring this over to where we had it, 55, like a 2. Sorry, a 1. And then our shadows, we're going to bring this over towards our blue. We're going to bring this over to, let's say 192 looks pretty good. And then our saturation, again, we're just going to leave just a little tiny bit. Let's say, too much. It's really hard is doing it with your fingers because it's such a small area and you got to keep your finger perfectly still and then try to drop it. So we're gonna leave that one at 190 and then 2. We're gonna raise this up to balance it over to our highlights rather than our shadows, because if we go over to our shadows, you can see a slight tiny adjustment. So let's say 31% onto that. And that's really honestly it. So as you guys can see from this before and this after, the photo looks good. The highlights aren't blowing out, the shadows aren't crushed, they're well lit, and she looks good because she has a consistent yet natural skin color and a little bit of a tan. So if you guys want to pick up this preset that we just edited, I will be giving it to you guys for free, and that'll be in the link down below. So if you guys found this video helpful at all, make sure you guys are hitting that like button. If you guys are not a subscriber, I mean, why aren't you? Hit that subscribe button so you guys get notified of any of my other future tutorials, some of my giveaways, or just anything I'm up to in my personal life. If you guys are in for any of my giveaways, make sure you guys check out my Instagram. It's Adam_BeyondTheGrid, because I do all my giveaways via that. So that's really it for me for this tutorial, and until next time, take care everybody.